Hey there, Jake from Gravity PDF here. Today we're going to have a look at Gravity PDF 6.0 Beta 1, which is fully compatible with Gravity Forms 2.5, currently in beta. I'm just going to run through top-line overview of the features so you can get familiar with the new user interface and just what's new in this release. To start off with, we're going to create a test form. I want to show you Gravity Form's new drag and drop columns feature and how that gets automatically applied to your core template. So we're just going to create a 3-column layout here, and then I'll add an address field. Let's add a 2-column layout now and finish it off with a consent field. And I'm just going to open up the preview window and we'll fill out the details here with some test data so we've got something to look at when we add a PDF. Alright. Now let's go to the PDFs list page. We'll go add a new PDF. So you could see here previously we had tabs in a horizontal menu to access the different settings, and now we've got them stacked on top of each other in a box that you can toggle open and closed. You can also click the label to do that or use keyboard navigation. This release has a greater focus on accessibility. We hope to do a full accessibility audit on the plugin before it's released. So we're just going to set up the general stuff here, and we might name that Zidane, the name of the template, and we'll leave everything else as default for now. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a second one as well. We'll just duplicate the first. And we'll change the template to Focus Gravity. Okay. So now we've got 2 PDFs set up on this form. Go back to the list page. There they are. So now we go over to entries. We can hover over view PDFs and select the 2 PDFs. And we'll go and have a look at them. So this is Zidane. We've got the 3 columns here. Then the address bar, and then 2 columns, and the consent field. If we have a look at Focus Gravity, we've got the same layout, 3, 1, and 2. So you don't need to use CSS ready classes anymore, although they're still supported for forms created prior to Gravity Forms 2.5. So the upgrade isn't going to break your existing template layouts. But for the new forms that are created with the new drag and drop columns feature, this does work nicely. Now if we go to the entry details page, another change is previously the PDFs were accessible under the entry meta box. Now they've all been moved to a brand new PDFs meta box. So we've got our own section that you can drag and drop where you want. Instead of big buttons, we've got inline links. So when you've got a heap of PDFs, it doesn't look so cluttered. And we also add a scroll bar if it gets too big. So if I go back to the PDF settings page here, and we duplicate a few of these a few more times, and I'll just activate them all. We'll refresh the entry details page now. We've got this scroll bar here, so it makes it much more convenient to navigate and manage your PDFs instead of a big long box with buttons filling up your whole page. You've got a nice streamlined experience. We've got a brand new redesigned global settings page. So if we go to form settings and then to the PDF tab here, you can see this has been redesigned as well. Previously we had radio buttons for basically toggled these settings on or off, said yes or no, and they've been converted over to the new toggle setting type, which we can save on and off, nice and easy and convenient. Security, we also had this user restriction field that was multi-select, and all the multi-select types have been converted over to checkboxes. Multi-select boxes are hard to use for some people, and radio fields are much more accessible to them. So that applies to the user restriction field here and the notification field when you set up the PDF on a form. What I really am excited to show you is the new font manager. This is a completely revamped experience. Previously you had to upload the fonts to your media library, so your fonts would clutter up your media library. Some people had issues uploading the fonts. It was hard to set up and configure, had limited functionality. So this is a fully revised experience, and it's 110% better than the old font manager. So you can come here and add a new font. You've got prompts if you don't fill out all the required fields. You can drag and drop fonts into the appropriate boxes, either regular italics, bold, or bold italics. We can also click on the fonts here and edit them, so we can easily remove fonts we don't want. Click update. The font name doesn't need to be unique now. We still recommend making it unique for ease of use. But unlike the old system where the font name had to be this unique string, that's no longer the case. Nice interface for editing and deleting. The search is quite powerful too. So I mentioned earlier that you could upload whatever font you wanted into this section over here. So I could call the font Myriad Pro, but upload Roboto to these font files. Because you can do that, the search feature we've got will search both the font name here, but it'll also search the names of the font files. So we'll rename this Myriad Pro. But then when we do a search for Roboto, it's going to show up in the list. And we can click on that search result and see what font types are there. Another powerful feature is the new validation that's done on these fonts. So we can actually, if we renamed a file and tried to upload it, it will recognize that that file is not a TTF font file. So what I might do is we'll just rename this JPEG, and we'll try upload it. And so previously we didn't have that validation. you uploaded your font to the media library. If it made it in, it would try to be used in the PDF, and you would only see the error at runtime when the PDF was generated. Now you're getting the error when you're actually registering the fonts in the system. If you upload a font with the same name that's already in the system, for example, we've uploaded Roboto here. If I added a new font and uploaded Roboto Regular again, it's going to get renamed automatically. Previously, those fonts got overridden. So if you had two fonts with the same name, but they were different types, that's going to cause conflicts with your PDF. And that's no longer the case anymore. But the big change, and one we're really excited about, is greater support for non-English fonts, specifically cursive script languages like Arabic or Persian. So in version 5 we didn't have any support for custom fonts. The core fonts had support for the cursive script languages, but we didn't do anything special with the custom fonts that get uploaded, or the user fonts. Now when you upload a font, it'll detect whether those fonts support the open type layout configuration, which is common in Arabic or Persian font types, and it's going to enable those settings. And then you can control the text justification called the Kashida, which is the width of specific characters in those types. So you can adjust this up and down in the PDF, and that setting will be displayed if it's detected, if the font is supported. So if we go ahead and we upload that Deja Vu Sans, which is one of the core fonts, but we can reinstall it, it's going to auto detect that Kashida is supported, or open font layout is supported, and then we can adjust this up and down, so that controls the text justification. It's going to be really useful for our non-English users. One other feature, not shown on this screen because there's no font selector, but if we go back to the settings page and we select the default font here, we can control the selection in the drop down. So if I want Droid Serif to be the main selection, I'll use this little checkbox here and close it, and it'll be selected in the select box, much like the template manager where we can go and select it here. Just a different user interface. The system status page, so we moved everything, the PDF setting, PDF system status to the Gravity Forms system status page, but we've greatly enhanced it. So it's going to give you and our support team a lot more information about Gravity PDF, so we can better help you if you run into problems. So if we scroll down, we've got Gravity PDF environment, some important environment settings for PHP, the directories of the PDF working directory, and the font folder and temporary font location, and whether there's any problems that might occur. So we can see here temporary folder protection is showing a problem for us because users can access this location through their browser directly, which means they could potentially access the temporary PDF files. And you may want to fix it up. On Apache, that's not a problem. It's automatically protected, but on Nginx, some special special setup needs to be done to fix that. So that's just shown here, and previously it was shown on the global PDF settings page. And just a few of the common defaults here, like if debug mode or background processing is enabled. Again, those are there just to give us more insight into your system and configuration, which helps us solve your problems faster when you submit a support request. And last but certainly not least, in this little intro video to 6.0 is in the import export section. When you now export entries, you can also export the PDF URLs for those entries. So if we find the test form I created earlier, test form, there it is. And down the bottom, selectable fields, we have the PDF URLs that we can include. So we'll just go ahead and select those, and we can download the export and take a look. And there we have it. The URLs with your export, so that's going to help when you're moving data around. Just one of the many enhancements we've made in 6.0. Enjoy.